The goal came in the 13th minute of the first leg, and watch Newport's coloured striker Neville Chamberlain. Did it cross the line? Well, certainly no apparent complaints from any City players and no flag from the linesman. Well, City didn't let that goal affect their morale because Martin Hurst soon showed what a talented player he's going to be. A deft little chip that just went off target. The Robins equaliser came from a Pritchard centre. It was met by Alan Crawford, who glanced it past the diving Newport goalkeeper Glyn Jones. That goal in the 34th minute was the first time the former Bristol Rovers goalkeeper had been tested. 1-1. And oh yes, the linesman adamant it wasn't offside. Well, from this corner, it was the Newport defence rather than the keeper who saved the day, Lyndon Jones, clearing a Riley header off the line. Well, Bristol City's goalkeeper, John Shaw, has never been associated with Liverpool's Bruce Grobbelaar, yet he certainly proved that a cool head under pressure can be a decisive way of clearing a dangerous situation. The crowd of 5,400 loved it. And City's arrogant pressure and a willingness this season to shoot at every opportunity almost paid dividends late in the game, Morgan's header just being touched over. Well, City's winner came 17 minutes from time. It was an innocuous build-up, Pritchard eventually scooping the ball to Riley, who found the back of the net. Well, that was his third goal in so many days, and it was Pritchard again who sent the perfect ball through Newport's defence to find Alan Walsh on the left, and Walsh about not to believe his eyes as former City player Newport captain Terry Boyle deflects the shot wide. The game ended City 2-1 up for the first leg, back to Somerton Park next Tuesday. On Saturday, their crowd was only beaten by First Division clubs and 3 in the second. And everything started according to plan when Alan Walsh scored his first goal for his new club from the penalty spot after a Swansea City player had handled in the box. Within 5 minutes, City gave up their lead when Shaw charged from his line and together with Halliday allowed Steve Mardenborough the luxury of an open net. Swansea were kept in the game by some reaction saves from keeper Jimmy Rimmer. When Riley was sent free in the box, it was Rimmer who blocked the shot. But questions must be asked about Riley's finishing. City's best chance in the game fell to Crawford. But 10 yards out, all he could do was blast over the top. And then Rob Newman's shot was again brilliantly saved by the diving Rimmer, who kept the scores equal at half-time. City very much on top in all but the referee's score sheet. Into the second half, and City's second goal, a disputed offside situation, and it fell to Crawford following an overhead pass from Newman. And just look what happens to Jimmy Rimmer. He's looking for the offside flag, but it stays down despite many other appeals. 2-1 to City. Well, Swansea were forced to keep pushing forward, and their equaliser came from a harmless corner. And just watch out for the man in the green jumper, John Shaw. A punch instead of a catch, straight to the feet of Pascoe, chip to Saunders, who flicks it into the net. Well, John Shaw made some amends to a poor day when he pulled off a diving save to deny Swansea the winner in the dying moments. 2 apiece, a big attendance.
Centre, which Newman controlled brilliantly and then slammed past their net in the Orient goal. 9 minutes later, though, after some indifferent play from City, John Shaw was caught off his line, which allowed a narrow angle shot from Barry Silman. Early in the second half, Trevor Morgan, thanks to a little help from the crossbar, set up City's second goal, leaving Alan Walsh the easiest job of slotting it home. City's third goal came from a superb cross from the left wing by Rob Newman. It was well met by Crawford to give him his 4th goal in 7 games. Newman was at fault 2 minutes from time, allowing Kevin Godfrey to nip round him, and his centre was volleyed home by substitute John Cornwall, City winning by 2 goals to 2.
In the 20th minute, when a former West Ham supporter, Trevor Morgan, now of City, showed persistence and bravery to fight his way into the penalty area and beat goalkeeper Tom McAllister. Just 8 minutes later, Tony Cotty hooked the ball inside Shaw's near post from a Dickens cross to tie the game up 1 goal apiece. Then it was City's thunderfoot, Alan Walsh, who gave City the lead again, a 20-yard shot which was just too much for McAllister, who had to watch it go over the line. Well, West Ham countered immediately, this time from a 30-yard shot from Steve Walford. But despite totally dominating in the second half, City couldn't add to the final score, which they now take to the second leg at Upton Park on October the 9th. And we hear tonight that City's manager Terry Cooper is at Exeter, probably having a look at a midfield player who may be able to change City's recent form, or is it bad luck? They say you create your own luck. Well, certainly last night City had very little of the free luck necessary to maintain their unbeaten home record. Paul Stevens brought down Kevin Kilmore on the edge of the area, and referee Malcolm Cotton had no hesitation in pointing at the spot. Penalty specialist Alan Birch scored, giving Rotherham a boost just when City looked like they were on top. But then followed two disallowed goals, which clearly involved City players being offside. The first, Alan Crawford, when Rob Newman netted the ball in the 69th minute. And then in injury time, and I've seen this 10 times today, it was Alan Walsh who was offside, not Howard Pritchard, who denied Trevor Morgan the equaliser. Up the day was to belong to City's number 6, Glyn Riley. He was handed his lucky shirt by manager Cooper in an attempt to end his 8-game run of failing to score. It was a move which was to pay dividends inside quarter of an hour. From the first whistle, Bristol City soon discovered why Gillingham were in 4th place. They played attacking football. Inside 30 seconds had City's goalkeeper John Shaw wondering what on earth had happened to his defence. Then came an awful tackle by Forbes, Phillips and Masters on Gillingham striker John Leslie. Now, Leslie crashed to the ground, so injured he was forced to leave the field at half-time and take no further part in the game. Play on, said the referee. Play on they did. Walsh's cross found number 6, Glyn Riley, who nodded the ball into the net, a goal which clearly should never have been. Well, City's latest player, who enjoys running at the opposition, is Keith Curle. This one saw him threading through Gillingham's defence, and his centre so nearly made it 2-0 for City. Well, if City had chances of scoring, so too did Gillingham. A breakaway, followed by a precision centre to Mel Sage, unmarked in the penalty area, was only thwarted by an athletic John Shaw. City's deciding goal developed from a Pritchard cross 13 minutes into the second period. Trevor Morgan's header was too much for Hilliard in the goal. Moments later, Pritchard was tripped by Sage and Shaw as he ran into the area, but the referee declined the penalty. Gillingham substitute Mark Weatherly was denied a consolation goal late in the game when at least 2 of his teammates were trapped offside, and Weatherly was foiled again just before the final whistle by a quite outstanding save by John Shaw. So City win by 2 goals, a satisfactory performance, man of the match, no question of that, City's goalkeeper John Shaw, who kept them in the game. Bristol City tore off like a tornado, scoring in the second minute when a Morgan cross was controlled by Howard Pritchard, who worked the ball onto his left foot and found the far corner of the net. A goal glut for City certainly looked on the cards. But instead, City's defence failed to clear a harmless centre which was pumped back into striker Wayne Foster. He had little difficulty running around the fallen Shaw and had City's open goal at his mercy. That made it 1-1, and the stunned City crowd of over 7,500 was speechless 3 minutes later when a Foster cross was prodded home by George Ogani. 2-1 to Bolton, and the Wanderers looked dangerous. City's next goal came when Pritchard made a meal of a Valentine tackle on the right edge of the box. Penalty, said referee Jeff Bray. Thank you, said Alan Walsh, who scored from the spot, sending the goalkeeper the wrong way. It was Alan Walsh who gave City their victory from a set-piece. His shot deflected off a Bolton leg and goalkeeper Farnborough was slow covering the corner of his net. Manager Cooper's reaction to the game: we played better and lost. Our overall performance, he added, was below par. Because of a kiss. Referee Roger Gifford has reported the club after receiving a kissogram. It appears he was not amused by the smacker on the cheek. Well, a smiling Alan Walsh saw the funny side of the joke, but that smile was soon to be wiped off in a game that City should have won against Brentford. Walsh set up a whole series of chances for his teammates. This one was wasted by Trevor Morgan. City's build-up was good in the first half. Pritchard, who incidentally was being watched by a handful of scouts, Ritchie and Walsh, well, they all worked well. But each move came to nothing. Trevor Morgan this time getting under the centre. Brentford's goalkeeper, Trevor Swinburne, formerly of Carlisle, played like a possessed man, pulling off a string of brilliant saves, denying City, and here Pritchard that first goal. Well, even Alan Walsh's fair shot apparently didn't bother Swinburne. The ball always seemed to cannon off. Shortly before half-time, Walsh, Morgan and Ritchie could have scored in one move. We saw Swinburne enjoying some luck. With the big derby coming up this weekend, City's manager Terry Cooper must be concerned about his team's poor finishing. The second half saw Walsh still without fortune. He found Morgan, whose header is well saved. Walsh then turned on some magic to score what will undoubtedly be one of the goals of the season. Despite being tripped, he battled on, and when he unleashed his left foot shot, not even Swinburne could stop it. Brentford's third corner of the half caused City trouble in defence, but Keith Curle was on hand to clear it. But the very next corner was headed home by Chris Kamara, the former Swindon player, giving John Shaw no chance in the City goal. With minutes remaining, Kenny Stroud should have given City 3 points, but instead it was the miracle man at work again, which means the game ended in a 1-1 draw.
Terry Cooper has played for and been in charge of both Bristol clubs, but it's a watching brief today for the present Bristol City manager, although at 40 he has appeared in the league side this season. David Williams, though, will be in the thick of the fray. At 29, he's coping admirably with the dual responsibilities of player and manager of Bristol Rovers. Williams makes one change after 5 league games without a win. Phil Bater swapping shirts with today's substitute, Mark O'Connor. It's a nostalgic return for goalkeeper Ray Cashley, who spent 11 years here with City, and Paul Randall is the top scorer with 10 goals. City lost left-back Rob Newman in midweek with a broken leg, so Bruce Halliday comes in. Defender Keith Curle is the one Rovers old boy in this lineup. And at number 10, Alan Walsh, who cost £18,000 from Darlington in the summer, he's already contributed 11 goals. Today's referee is Tony Ward from London. Just 1 point separates these two clubs in the upper reaches of the third division, with Rovers starting the match in second place on a pitch that has taken well heavy rain in the week. It's a beautiful West Country afternoon, and the first free kick goes the way of Bristol Rovers, and David Williams trying to draw City out and then play it again quickly. Timmy Parkin came in from the back with a header that dropped safely for John Shaw. Certainly the recent disappointing results by Bristol Rovers has produced a note of caution in their approach here. David Williams, who has been operating in midfield, whenever it's feasible, the last defender. Ritchie. Here's Walsh, Williams, David Williams, that is, goes across in that sweeper's role. He can look so ungainly, Alan Walsh, but he is effective. Pritchard. Past David Williams, but not past Brian Williams, who's gone across with him. Ten minutes played. Riley's header. Ritchie. Stroud well forward. And it was Stroud who hit it. A goal out of nothing. It certainly took Cashley by surprise. Well, Kenny Stroud tried to retire at the start of this season. He runs a guest house in Swindon. Bristol City persuaded him to come back as a part-timer, and how glad they must be now. He looped it over Cashley. 1-0, 11 minutes gone. First blood to Bristol City. Randall and Holloway. Stevens in the middle. Holloway goes the direct route. Bristol born and looking to reply for Rovers. Ian Holloway. The delay while McCaffrey gets some repairs to his boots. And is in fact off the field. McCaffrey waiting for the referee's decision to allow him to come back on. Park in, and can Riley reach it? 2-0. Rovers look in disbelief. Cashley is hurt. Glyn Riley is delighted. But Bristol Rovers, in fact, were a central defender light, in the sense that McCaffrey was making his way back into position after being off the field changing a boot. Parkin certainly misjudged the header. Riley ran onto it. Here's Pritchard. And Riley's gone to the near post. Riley! Very neatly done indeed. It's a second for Riley. It's euphoria for Bristol City followers. And Howard Pritchard, they feel he should be in contention for a place in the Welsh squad as a winger. And he set up Riley, who steered it in at the near post. "18 minutes into the second half. Bristol City 3, Bristol Rovers 0. And 2 of them down to Glyn Riley. Halliday. Morgan asking for a deep cross. Riley! There was no one near him. And it was an excellent piece of work by Ray Cashley to deny Glyn Riley his hat-trick. One defender torn between 2 players, but Cashley was there for Rovers. The deeper City player was Pritchard. And Brian Williams staying too close to Howard Pritchard on that occasion. It's been a hard-working afternoon for the Bristol Rovers left-back against a winger who's certainly on song now. Riley. It was so close again. It's all dropping for Glyn Riley in the second half. Cashley flung himself to his right, didn't touch it. Bater. And that's going to be a free kick against Curl. The referee sprinting across to have a word with Keith Curl. And before the free kick can be taken, Keith Curl does have his name taken. Was a late tackle, and it did stop Phil Bater, and he was finding an extra gear. So a free kick to Rovers, 3 goals down, and Shaw, perhaps the most difficult save he's had to make. It came from Stevens' header. and it came 3 minutes from time. Archie Stevens got in front of Phillips and Masters then, but Shaw was down alertly.
East London, where they were greeted with jeers, pop music and a special Fisher song written for the occasion. And City's winning goal was greeted by absolute silence. It was scored 9 minutes into the game by Glyn Riley. Howard Pritchard came the nearest to making it 2-0. The City were always on top, and 7 of the Fisher players were reduced to tears at the end, knowing their cup-run bubble had eventually burst. Saturday, 20-year-old Mike Hooper made his debut in goal for City, replacing the dropped John Shaw. He was to have a quiet game, as was latest signing Steve Neville, who obviously found the midweek transfer from Exeter draining on his physical reserves. But 6'2" Cooper proved he's brave when in the early moments against Lincoln he dived at the feet of an incoming striker. Hooper, a Swansea University student, ironically lives at Eastville, only a goal kick away from Bristol Rovers. Well, City's explosive start created panic in Lincoln's defence, and in the 9th minute Kenny Stroud was tripped on the edge of the box, which was an open invitation for Alan Walsh to unleash one of his special long-range blasters. And Walsh didn't disappoint the crowd. His 20-yard shot was too much for Lincoln keeper Naylor. City were 1 goal up, and that was Walsh's 12th goal of the season. And it was Walsh who started the move for City's second 13 minutes later. Ritchie worked a 1-2 with Glyn Riley out on the right, and it was Riley's early ball which allowed Ritchie to swing a boot and find the corner of the net. Amazingly, that was Ritchie's first goal of the season. Well, City's goalkeeper Hooper knew very little about a shot from the foot of George Shipley early in the second half. The woodwork saving Hooper and City in what was to be a crucial miss. Because with 3 minutes to go and Lincoln very much back in the game, a free header for Stroder, totally unmarked in the box, gave the visitors some consolation. So City, to the relief of the biggest crowd in the 3rd Division on Saturday, took those vital home points to keep their promotion drive going. Period in John Shaw's career as he attempts to re-establish himself as City's #1 goalkeeper. And he received an early shock on Saturday when McDonough's header found the net. Shaw saved, though, by the offside flag. It was City's second lowest gate of the season, and a game where Steve Neville should have notched his first goal for City since signing from Exeter. After 2 attempts, he saw his tame shot in the hands of the keeper. The Riley-Pritchard combination broke down the Cambridge defence for City's first goal. Riley's delightful cross was volleyed home by Pritchard, a goal that City needed after a pretty indifferent start following their lengthy layoff because of the weather. It was that player combination again which worked in the second half. They quickly worked the ball out to the left, and that means, patrolling there, Alan Walsh. Walsh is never happier than when streaking into the box. His left foot shot was too much for Brannigan. But John Shaw must have caught his manager's eye with some impressive handling. It'd be interesting to see if his performance was good enough to save the club, bringing in a new goalkeeper. City's 3rd goal came from a hasty clearance, which Keith Curle headed to Llewellyn. Again, Walsh was unleashed on the left flank, and again his centre proved decisive. Glyn Riley was there to head his 12th goal. That win has kept the club in the promotion hunt and just 3 points behind near neighbours Bristol Rovers. In the first leg, City were unlucky not to take an early lead. Riley's shot well saved there by the diving Kevin Rose. Hereford's attacks were few and far between, but on this occasion, £8,000 signing Paul Butler crossed eventually to Kearns, but his shot went wide. So no goals and not a great deal of action by half-time. And when the second half got underway, at least it saw City step up a gear. Much of the attacking was left to Walsh and Stroud. On this occasion, they built up this attack, and Paul Stevens' header at the back post dropped kindly to young Martin Hurst. But his hastily taken shot just went wide. The deadlock was broken 5 minutes from time. Riley was the scorer, got onto a Walsh pass and found the net. Bristol City are now home to Port Vale, with both clubs still trying to sort out a date to play that game, because of a major fixture backlog. Derby County splashing out £175,000 on Christie and Micklewhite, both First Division stars. It was City who stole the limelight. Walsh's corner and a challenge from Neville tested Steele's nerves, and he was forced to push the ball away behind the goal. This time Derby's defence half cleared the ball to Walsh on the edge of the penalty area, and he set up Newman on the left. Newman's cross was perfect for Riley, who scored his 15th goal of the season. And in the crowd last night, Johnny Giles, manager of West Brom, with £300,000 in his pocket for a new striker. Derby's torrid time at Ashton Gate continued with a magical dribble from Walsh and a fine cross to the far post, where Gary Marshall, making his debut, soared above the defence to make it 2-0. Marshall, of course, in for the Welsh cap, Howard Pritchard. One of the few attacks mounted by Derby in the first half saw Lewis crack in a brilliant 30-yard shot, but Shaw saved it, and then he bravely dived at the feet of Davidson. So City flags waving frantically, and Walsh unlucky with his indirect free kick, which was untouched en route to goal. But Walsh was happier just before the final whistle. It was his run down the left and his centre which provided substitute Alan Crawford with City's third goal. So an impressive win for City, and one which has certainly enhanced their promotion challenge. New Curl had the unenviable task of marking one of the most physical strikers in the third division, Bradford's Irish international Bobby Campbell. And much to the delight of a home crowd approaching 9,500, he did a good job. First chance in the game fell to Bradford. Campbell set up Chris With, brother of Peter, for a shot which just went wide. Alan Walsh, one of the main reasons City are at the top of the table, caused all sorts of problems, Harvey and the Bradford goals saving well. Rob Newman and Riley worked well here, and Neville, still looking for his first home goal of the season, put in a telling cross. And there was the head of Howard Pritchard to give City the lead. Neville's best chance of scoring came midway through the half. Newman's shot is deflected. Neville delayed that vital second, allowing Harvey to block. Newman was ever eager to shoot, certainly at every opportunity. Here he thumped a Walsh pass just over the top. And Bradford's woodwork was certainly rattled throughout the afternoon. This move started deep in City's half. Riley threw to Pritchard out on the right. He gathered the ball into the penalty area, hits the ball, and off the woodwork. Well, City's attacking policy carried on in the second half, with boot just saving the day here as the ball hits the crossbar yet again. This move started with Stevens, who chipped into the box, beautifully controlled by Neville. Riley chips, Walsh gathers, and he can't believe his eyes as the ball is saved. Moments later, Pritchard's cross was hit first time by Walsh. The shot deflected off the keeper for the final goal. A superlative effort by City, but for £12,000 extra signing Steve Neville, the home goal famine continues. Looks wet, doesn't it? Well, a freak rainstorm lashed Ashton Gate just before the kick-off, causing massive puddles, and few, if any, supporters would have been surprised or aggrieved if the game had been called off. And for the brave supporters, even without holes in their brollies, I'm afraid a real soaking. Well, City were lucky not to concede an early goal when Newman's back pass was slowed by the water. Douglas nipped behind the defence, but luckily for City, he flippered the shot wide. So it was little wonder, therefore, that the referee and managers discussed the conditions, but a decision was made to go ahead at least a half-time, thus pleasing the near 8,000 crowd. And what pleased the City fans even more was the goal which soon followed. Neville was fouled, and Newman took the free kick out on the left. He must have spotted Riley was unmarked in the box, because Riley header found the far corner, giving Peacock no chance in the Doncaster goal. It was his 17th of the season. Here, busy Neville slotted Pritchard away. He almost earned a penalty, but kept his feet for a cross into the centre. From one of 10 corners in the first half, a general melee in the mud, the ball was eventually squelched away for one of the many corners that City had, showing the pressure they exerted. Well, Alan Walsh was seen to be talking with forked tongue at the interval, the tall striker probably inquiring from the ground staff how this season's potato crop looks. We move now into the second period. Pritchard's corner was flicked on by Newman, but Mark Hughes was a real stick in the mud and unable to get much power to his shot. Moments later, Neville left the Doncaster surfer in his wake and created an open goal chance for Pritchard. But the less said about that, the better. Latest signing, Steve Johnson, came on to make his debut, but the conditions were totally against him making any type of impact. The £30,000 striker had just one chance, but even he aquaplaned. The game was without doubt a real lottery. It was a one-up win for Terry Cooper over his old Leeds teammate Billy Bremner, manager of Doncaster, of course. And for Billy Bremner, well, he believes City are truly promotion candidates. Extremely confident of taking 3 points off lowly Preston, a side who have managed little more than a point from their 40 games this season. City's first goal, though, came early in the 13th minute. Stroud sent Walsh clear on the wing. Walsh to Newman. Newman set up Riley to pop in a lovely little header. Preston had their occasional foray forward, but John Shaw was to prove that he's still City's #1 keeper. When Atkins climbed on Pritchard's back, referee David Letts had no hesitation in pointing to the penalty spot. A chance for Walsh to make it 2-0. Walsh made no mistake with his 23rd goal of the season. Steve Johnson showed his pace, shaking off a Preston defender, and his cross was unlucky not to find the back of the net, a defender getting his boot in the way just in time. Johnson's power in the air and the danger he presents in the box to defences is just starting to pay off for City. The ball going to Alan Walsh, who unleashed a thunderbolt just wide. Into the second half, and Alan Walsh used the wind to curl in this indirect free kick. But in fairness, the referee's hand just a little late. Anyway, the goal didn't count. Still, Walsh needn't have worried. Moments later, he streaked away into the penalty area on his own, and his shot had the pace to beat Campbell to make it 3-0. Then came the save of the season. Brazil with the shot, Shaw with the fingertip save. City's continuous attacking policy almost forced an own goal, as the Preston defence were caught at 4s and 5s, is it? Or 6s and 7s. Walsh's corner was headed on here by Johnson, and just watch Glyn Riley on the volley to stick the ball into the net. That was City's 4th goal, the final one of the game, and one which could well doom Preston to the 4th division next season, the first time they've been there in their club history. Well, Bristol City's promotion hopes went out like a damp squib. While they struggled against the tenacious Reading, Millwall popped 2 in against Plymouth and therefore go into the 2nd division next season. But City didn't know that result as they waved to their crowd. 7 minutes had gone when Riley pushed through a ball to Steve Neville. So there's the Riley pass. Neville needed just a little luck, but the ball found the net, thus scoring his first goal at Ashton Gate in 5 months. Well, John Shaw then kept City in the game with a number of breathtaking saves. Without a contract for next season, Shaw certainly impressed everyone with his alertness. And one can't help but feel that there's still a lot left in him to offer City. He's a steady, unsensational keeper. Maybe another contract is in the offing. Well, Shaw couldn't save Reading's equaliser. Bevan's cross was turned into the net by Newman. City's defence without the suspended Keith goal was in a bit of disarray. But 7 minutes later, Riley headed home a Pritchard cross and City were back in the driving seat, albeit looking just a little nervous. And that nervousness robbed City of an early second half goal. Now, it's chances like this which has cost City dearly this season. Had a couple more gone in, well, City could have been out. Martin Hicks set up Reading's second equaliser with a clever flick on. Horrocks dashed into the box and found the far corner of the net, Shaw being well beaten. And then with 18 minutes to go, Reading sewed it up. Gilks beat Newman and then went around Shaw before shooting into a gaping net. So City lose their final home league game, miss promotion, but when all is said and done, they've had a cracking season. His fans